Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin spoke with Maria Bartiromo this morning in a First on Fox Business interview, suggesting that an indirect money path to turning the screws on North Korea. Listen.
The sanctions are about making sure that where people are supporting terrorist activities or weapons of mass destruction, that we are cutting them off from the U.S. financial system.
Okay, we cut him off from the financial system, but let's bring in former CIA senior analyst on Korean issues, Sumi Terry, joining us to tell us whether sanctions alone are enough to stop nuclear activity by the North. Oh, there's so much to talk about here.
Yes.
Number one, I have to ask you, where do you think that satellite's going?
I would not be very surprised if it's going towards the direction of North Korea. North Korea is the most heavily imaged place on Earth.
Okay,
So.
now you were a former CIA analyst, senior analyst focusing on Korean issues, are also a national intelligence officer for East Asia. You know this region. Do you get the sense that monetary sanctions, and they would be indirect because we already don't do any business with North Korea, so it would be indirect. Is that enough?
Well, the thing is, we have not tried maximum amount of sanctions. A lot of people think we have maxed out on North Korea sanctions, but we have not. Tough sanctions have been in place for about a year. For Iran, it took about 3 years. And sanctions have not really been enforced at the ground level because China, unfortunately, have not been doing its part enforcing sanctions. So what the administration is saying now is that we have to pressure China to enforce the sanctions in place. So we will have to pursue secondary sanctions against Chinese banks and entities that do illicit business with North Korea. Even though it might strain relations, it will strain relations between Washington and Beijing.
Well, let's say we cannot depend on China because so far we haven't been able to.
Right.
What should these sanctions be paired with? Should it be with sort of a cyber attack, generated from somewhere,
well,
maybe us, but also
yes.
Military moves. We now have the USS Vinson right there. We also have the THAAD missile system that is pretty much ready to go.
Right.
And Americans worry that there might be just a little bit of a trigger happiness on either side or nervousness that causes a real issue. Are you concerned about that?
No, I'm very concerned about that. And this is why we have that in place in South Korea. And you're absolutely right. We need to amp up our defense and deterrence measures. And we have to pursue secondary sanctions against Chinese banks. But I'm concerned about, and cyber capability too. I'm all for cyber capability. And maybe some of these missile tests are failing because of our cyber capability. But I am concerned about other military options like military strike, because North Korea is not Syria or Afghanistan, so this is a much riskier option.
Okay. Does this surprise you? A poll came out that shows that something like 53% of voters, American voters polled, want military action in North Korea. Maybe they just want the saber rattling and the showing up of course, troops in South Korea and the THAAD missile system. But that surprised me because this could turn out to be something quite dramatic if the Chinese and then the Russians pile in.
Right. No, I am quite surprised by that, 53%. I wonder if Americans know, though, that we do have 20 million people living in Seoul. We have about 150,000 American expats living in Seoul. We have 28,500 American soldiers in Seoul, all within 60 seconds within over 10,000 artillery pieces, conventional artillery pieces alone, never mind the nukes. North Korea already has nuclear weapons.
Well, so, now we know because you just told us, no, this is valuable information, and the entire region seems to be a little bit on tenterhooks. Let me just throw this out because you know the region, the Philippines.
Yes.
President Duterte is somebody who has gone after the drug problem in ways that a lot of people are concerned about. His administration is killing people without due process. President Trump just spoke to him on the phone, and it said it was a very warm discussion, and nobody's really been dealing with this guy. Is that a good thing or a bad thing to open up a channel of communication?
I think it's okay to open up a channel of communication, but I wish President Trump coordinated with the State Department, the National Security Council, before inviting this person, because now there's a lot of controversy over invitation of Duarte to the White House.
He doesn't tend to check with people, but he thinks I'm the president. Sue, thank you very much.
Sure, thanks for having me.
Sumi Terry, former CIA specialist for the Korean region. It's great to have your perspective. Please come back.
I will.